And Lulu.
Lulu is fantastic in this comp, even though it doesn't scream, you know, the strongest lane ever. We've seen it a lot. We've also seen the power of Wukong's double knock-up with an additional knock-up, Aatrox engaging with a knock-up potential, living even longer, and the ability for Beryl to save Viper in team fights if that hard engage is there with the Vi, with the Reenkton, the follow-up burst damage.
Yeah.
I think it's really critical that Peter hits big ultimates here with Renata Glasc. The hostile takeover, I think, is really what could dismantle Team FAKER's composition here more than anything else, because, yeah, Vi can single target, you know, ult.
And here we are. No fan chants for Team Deft or Team FAKER. I'm actually a little bit surprised. We have a lot of fans here in the audience.
Wait. Someone did it impromptu.
And it was Team.
Usually, to give you guys fan chant lore, as this is a sign of respect. Never happened in solo queue, but
I mean,
fan chant lore, you know, is someone is actually designated, usually from the fan club, as the chant starter.
oh man!
That is the most respectful thing he could have ever done in that situation. And you see, did Morgan flinch? Did he stutter? No. His former teammate, he trusts him.
Yeah. These guys are two peas in a pod.
I love the level 1 moments that we've had.
Yeah. We had a good one. I think it was it BDD and FAKER?
Yeah, I remember that one. I think I was casting with you.
Yeah. That was a lovely one.
Somebody misclicked, and we were like, the disrespect!
Yeah.
It might have been BDD Chovy.
Maybe it was, yeah.
It's a good one. Thanks to Cisco, but we got to take a look at these runes.
Yes.
Gathering power.
We have Bruisers and we have Conqueror.
Yep. Yeah. Some Gathering Storm, a little bit of Scorch action. Viktor scaling. Akali Conqueror, no surprise. Thorn Shield start.
Yeah. We have another blue pet decision here from Willer.
The green one is the most common because of the
Moss Boy.
Moss Stomper.
I call him Moss Boy.
That's fine.
Or Green Boy, that's also good.
Yeah. Some people like to call him Bulbasaur, but some people like to call him Froggy.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. I don't know about Froggy. I wouldn't personally call him Froggy.
Well, if you don't like it, I won't do it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, please don't.
But I was joking with you that most, you know, meta jungle champions take Moss Stomper, so if both had done it in the first game, which didn't obviously be the case, like, so there's only one jungle pet in the game now, guys, but we've actually seen all 3 now. The variety is real.
Wow.
This is a hard laning phase for an early Akali. Willer's going to try to punish.
He's going to get the slow with the Q. Chovy might be forced to flash over the wall. Willer could have decided to chase, but they had no real vision over there and might not have been able to get in range as he had already used his gap closer. Either way, a nice gank here early on to get the flash of the Chovy, force him to be a little bit more respectful.
The jungle pets will do AoE damage to Raptors. You talked about earlier the changes to the jungle and how a lot more junglers are viable. You notice Cuzz just walk away, so you can run into Willer.
He was revealed. They knew where he was.
That's really bizarre.
And he was just walking towards the enemy jungle. What?
Well, I think Willer does flash with this one, but he messes it up.
You don't even counter jungle. It's not a thing anymore. Oh, no.
Okay.
Yeah, trying to get position on the Scuttle Crab just got owned.
Willer really wanted to hold the flash and decided to go for it at the end. Flashed a little bit wrong, but it doesn't matter. Still has, of course, that E to get on top of him. Yeah, a little bit of greed, a lot of punish.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that he was revealed really was the big difference maker, right? Because if he wasn't, well, these guys might just be dead. Here's Willer with double buff. The flash polymorph trying to divide that, but Peter with the huge handshake is going to keep them both alive. That is massive, as now Deft is just going to chase them down. Has to be a little bit careful. He's got Cuzz nearby, who will just smite the cannon and help push this one away.
Yeah, that was a very tense and scary moment there, but great handshake from Peter, as you mentioned, to actually shove them back, keep himself and Deft alive just narrowly. Both summoners burned here, of course, on the side of Team Deft there in the bottom lane. Still, better that they escape than lose out on another kill with Willer having that double buff advantage. Of course, taking the blue jungle item, pet, whatever you want to call it. So Will, of course, as a result, yes.
Water boy.
Fast clear, and the reveal comes through, and Cuzz is like, well, I know he's there because he hit the scryers, and then we promptly punished for it. Willer does have to flash. He waits for a moment here.
Yeah.
As Viper doesn't have the extendo range nor vision to guarantee the kill, I think maybe that was the hope, is okay, Zeri can probably zap him, but doesn't commit.
Yeah, I'm just curious about like the thought process, right? Maybe just assuming he could go 1v1, maybe he had prio from the bottom side, he thought, and, you know, potentially, I mean, it is Renata and Draven. But, as we did see, even the bottom lane of Team FAKER was able to get there on time, and even besides that, I think the 1v1, he's going to have a rough time against the Wukong. Even with the blue buff. But either way, it is what it is.
Chovy pretty low on mana here, so despite FAKER having a lower health pool here, Chovy's not a real threat to him, so I like he's taking this opportunity to push through and see what harassment he can get done. As FAKER knows he's sitting only on Doran's ring, no more pots to keep him off or anything like that. And this game has been a lot more tense from the outset than the last one.
I can really feel both sides trying their absolute hardest, which is really fun to see. It's like an event match in quotes, but everybody's like, I'm playing for my League of Legends career for this one. Nice little trade there from Morgan. He's got the whip out.
Yeah, he's got, you know, a nice ult here too. He can still pop, wants to go for another aggressive trade. Whip comes back up. Chovy picks up the early crystal here. Likely a Rod of Ages build, has tier 2, so it's going to give him some extra sustain in the lane, and he uses his ult as soon as he has enough mana for it to push the wave out, buy himself enough time to get that easy teleport back. FAKER, of course, to match with the X-Tech Alternator. And an Amp Tome, so still a competitive lane, but getting easier for FAKER as time goes on.
Willer's got the push from his bottom lane currently to go for this dragon, but there is a control ward in here. FAKER, you can see he's getting a little bit frisky. You know, he's trying to get in there, maybe look for some vision, try to see if they can see the Vi or anything like that. Vi, Cuzz, currently on the Krugs, so is nearby.
It's been such an interesting mid-matchup to watch, but there's so much else going on bottom side.
Oh, the push coming in. Deft forced to heal. Beryl a little bit too far forward. He is going to have to get out of there himself and use his own heal. As the ward has been pinged, they're going to know the timing of that, as Team Deft will know the timing of this Drake going down as well. I know that it was going down. FAKER greeting for a ward, just nearly going to die. He does have the Shroud, though, and he's going to survive.
Wow.
Hashtag calculated.
Yeah, doesn't get the ward, unfortunately, but he'll be happy to walk away with his life. Does not expend flash, just gets caught at the last moment of that gravity field. Gets stunned. Very close call there for the unkillable Demon King, living up to his name once again here. The Dragon does go over to the side of Team FAKER in the meanwhile. So, huge win for them. Solo Cloud Drake will be Mountain to follow, so maybe we'll get that Chemtech Rift this time around, much to your chagrin.
Yeah, more powerful plants is not really what I wanted with the preseason. Thought they were good enough, but here they are. Not all the time. Really nice setup from Cuzz. He's going to land this one 100-0 to Dudu, who doesn't even get to flash away. The poor guy. And yeah, that is the power of Vi, alongside of Reenkton's insane gank assist.
Well, the great gravity field from Chovy as well, blocking Willer from coming over to make any sort of impact. By the time he's here, it's too late. FAKER has ult, of course, and a decent health pool, but there's nothing they could do here anymore, despite Cuzz and Morgan expending their own ults. Bottom side here, Team FAKER also to grab a turret plate.
Oh, flash available for Chovy, but I'm not sure it's going to get him out of here. A lot of damage onto Willer, but it's nicely calculated. FAKER even given the kill. That is nicely set up. Maybe assuming that Willer had gone back, Chovy was positioning pretty far up the lane.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the reason why he was like that. You feel some degree of safety with your gravity field and flash under turret like that, but with the dashes.
Peter's not messing around. He says, let's trade flashes, and Beryl doesn't have a choice in the matter. Oh. I think FAKER just trying to stop it back or something. Not sure.
Give it
This
to
is the call. Cuzz gets the call from Morgan. He's like, what do you think about it? They commit in. Morgan flashes early.
네,
but with
정말을
goodbye
와서
setup,
선율이
he can
같이
just
그냥
follow up.
먹어줘야 될 것 같아.
CCM, blow him up, and then rush down the Herald. As Chovy has flash here, wants to use the gravity well under turret, but Willer flashes away. FAKER's got the dash. So no real risk here for the Team FAKER players.
Yeah. That's the power of Wukong and Akali as well. I mean, you can chase a low mobility control mage in the mid lane all the way down the lane, and you're probably going to get out alive, especially before Viktor's really gotten the items. As this build certainly takes a while to get online. So I think the timing of it was really fantastic. They're able to get something back after essentially just losing the Rift Herald and a kill on the top side. So they're going to feel pretty good about that. Pretty even game from where we stand.
Yeah, Viper and Beryl did pick up that plate bottom side too. That was happening. Peter wants to be aggressive. I don't know about this.
This is just maybe a little bit too much. Bait is so huge. And that is a pretty huge Zeri, who is just going to do Zeri things and say, you know what, actually, I'm not feeling this fight. Let me just get out of here.
You know,
with a basic ability.
I think 6 months ago, that's probably a kill for Zeri, but not on patch 13.1. I think we can all just put a sigh of relief that it's not perma Zeri anymore.
If that weren't Zeri, probably would have had to flash away from that one. And then maybe even then still would have died. So that's the other side of the coin. FAKER is being very annoying here in the mid lane. But Chovy, he's got one job. That's to farm and to get Radavage. So here we go, going in with that Dominus. Morgan really trying to bring this top lane into his favor. Dudu does get some nice movement, but he gets too close once again. And Morgan's like, oh man, you made a mistake. Let me just kill you right here.
We've mentioned it a few times, that former teammates, right? Morgan understanding Dudu's tendencies, I think, very well here. Blocks, or not blocks, but avoids both of those knockups extremely well. Flashless, and Dudu goes down.
Flash, and he does a good job here of avoiding Cuzz. Peter here as well, of course, because Peter has kind of gone insane in this game. Not sure what's going on with him, but either way, he's here for the push with this Rift Herald. Trying to do a bit of extra damage to the mid turrets. Note that the Rift Herald doesn't do always 2 plates worth of damage anymore.
Yeah.
Has been essentially quote-unquote nerfed in that sense. You're just not going to get 2 free turret plates all the time anymore. You gotta do a little bit more damage.
All right, first Q hits, second one misses, and he's like, all right, I'm going in. Dashes through the third Q, gets the stun, has the ult. Flash comes through, steps down, avoids the first one, goes inside the second to guarantee the kill. Well played there. I think a bit of an overextension from Dudu, but well punished by Morgan. And you mentioned that calculation on the 2 plates. It's just about 1 auto away from getting another plate there in mid, so frustrating for the side of Team Deft at the same time.
That's frustrating as well.
Chovy's got his Rod of Ages online this time a little bit later than the previous, 1250-ish. So he'll be stacking that up.
14 last time?
I thought it was
14 and 24. I think this is actually
you might
earlier.
be right. You might be right.
Yeah, I think he's got this even earlier. He like totally skipped boots, I guess, or he's just farmed a little bit better this time around. Either way,
yeah, he skipped boots, and I think you are right. Actually, thinking back on it, in my head it was 12 minutes, but that would be crazy.
Yeah. Still a extremely early Rod of Ages. Either way.
Yeah, I mean that's the best kind of Rod of Ages.
Yeah. It's not quite your, solo queue 9-minute rod, but can't always get those in every game, especially not in pro. So the Rift Herald got the 1 plate, and I think the gold went to Cuzz. So even though the plate gold is buffed a little bit, it's still not the biggest game changer. I think the damage almost is better than the 1 plate in the mid lane. As Peter feels like he's trying to bait here again, but they're not going to fight the bait this time.
Nice try. We'll get control of this Tri-Brush, though. Will Viper and Beryl. And this mid-battle continues. FAKER trying to set up for this.
He's going to get the dash out of Cuzz, essentially. He's got Willer nearby, but Willer on vision. Bit of trading back and forth here.
Not as greedy for that ward as FAKER was moments ago. And they really want to push this turret down, but it's not going to be off this wave. Or is it? Just barely.
Only Deft is here, so he actually can't stand up. And look at this, Cuzz also just going to go into the river, assuming he's safe, just gets once again comboed down by Willer. As now FAKER, there is Peter nearby, and no ultimate anymore for the level 11 Akali. And now FAKER all of a sudden is 2-0.
Yeah, this is really starting to become a problem. Cuzz was hovering around mid lane, but he wasn't able to make a play, wasn't close enough, nor was he close enough to keep Deft alive, and I think Deft was probably expecting that Cuzz was going to be there to back him up when that turret was taken down. He wasn't. Then he was caught, and unfortunately, as you say, FAKER picks up a second kill here. And things are getting a little bit out of hand for this Akali in terms of the power spike she's going to be hitting here in this mid game. Chovy and Morgan going to start off this Herald. Cuzz rotating over. Trying to get something out of these back timings here for Team FAKER. They scout it out.
Yeah. Question remains if they'll actually challenge it. Looks like no.
I don't think they can. Drake spawning in 230, so not a whole lot of cross map. They already got the bottom turret. So this is a pretty huge win for Team Deft, all things considered. An uncontested Herald take.
That ward not pinged. Unfortunate. I think the observer's just trying to highlight how low that mid turret has gotten.
So Cuzz rotates down, I think, in an attempt to find Deft, sees that he's spotted, and then kind of gets a little bit indecisive. Flash goes down, he gets picked. Really unfortunate positioning there. He's kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place, not able to help out either parts of the Rift.
And take a look at this. In the 1v1 in the long lane, this Akali is going to have a lot of fun. That was a decent amount of storm damage here from the Chovy. The Q is going to miss from FAKER, but can he run him down is the question the Shuriken will miss.
That one minion's such a bro right there.
Yeah.
Shout out to that minion.
Actually was, yeah. Like, that was it. That was the difference maker. Minion wave coming in at that exact right time. If that wasn't there.
Chovy has to flash.
Yeah.
Or he dies.
I mean, if the Shuriken lands, it's like, well.
You flash, you still die.
You still die.
Yeah.
FAKER just flashes out. Just laughs at you. Just FAKER things.
Dudu just kind of sitting up top, alone here. His flash, or rather his teleport, not quite up. The Drake spawns in 70. So this is going to be a moment where Team FAKER is looking ready to fight. Core Drinker online. Wukong, of course, you know, fairly ahead here. And in terms of the itemization, it's not massive, but the one thing that Team Deft really has going for them as this Drake spawns is that they have a Rift Herald they can place elsewhere and try to pull that attention away. Morgan has teleport, so Team Deft really need to utilize this Rift Herald right now in this timing here at 40 seconds, or else they're going to find themselves with Team FAKER having that Infernal Soul point. And how they find the value with this for Cuzz is going to be challenging, right? Could try to set up a dive onto Dudu. Teleport is coming up shortly.
Yeah, it looks like they just want to group up mid. Maybe just do like a natural push. You know, push out the wave, try to stick around mid for a little bit longer, then drop the Rift Herald and maybe try to bait someone over here. Here's that Rift Herald. So that's going to come down here. 485 stacks currently for the man on the bottom side for Team Deft. Deft himself.
A lot of money if he can get that kill.
Charge will happen. Look at FAKER's flank positioning here. He's able to get into that back line. Deft in a lot of trouble. He has to flash, and he's getting some good autos down. And he is going to be put into the possible takedown, but it is not quite enough. And the Zeri has so much room to pop off in this fight. As Morgan and Chovy, monsters on their own right, but nothing compared to Zeri.
Yeah, they get the mid turret, but it's going to be a trade of kills here, and one that almost didn't go into Team Deft's way. Like, they almost just lost one as Dudu's looking for angle.
Oh, the polymorph is huge. Is it enough to save Viper's life? Is the question. Yes, it is. No! No, it's not. Chovy is able to get in there. Doesn't even have to flash to secure that kill.
Well, this is a huge change here in this game. Chovy looking to come over and contest this Drake, but he's alone.
He's
crazy, but he wants it.
Yeah, not quite enough. It's a big smite. 1,200 nowadays.
Yeah, it's a big 1,200 smite. Things looking really bad for Team Deft there for a moment. getting those kills onto Chovy is going to make things a lot easier, but the fact still stands. They walk away with the turret, 2 kills here. FAKER traded, of course, in this one. Beautiful play from Morgan at the last moment, but FAKER's flank angle was great. And there's no way to get a takedown here, unfortunately, to get the reset for Deft. If that happens, he gets his cash in. A lot of crazy things happen in the game, but he's just not quite able to do it. Then Chovy punishes this overstay here.
They're almost baited in by Dudu, I guess.
Morgan flashes for the stun.
Got the stun.
And Beryl gets caught in the second beam here with a Q. It's a double. Dudu just not able to close the distance onto Chovy there, and that's huge because if they lose all of that and then don't get the dragon.
Well, Deft is dead again.
Yeah.
So, looks like he was just top, and FAKER was like, huh, you can't be here alone. That's weird. And then he killed him. So that's my analysis of the situation.
I don't know if there's much more to say, but we'll watch the replay and see if there's any more details.
Yeah, it looks like the same might happen here to Dudu. He does have a lot of help, though, coming down. Morgan, this is a long fight that you got yourself into, and it might come back to bite you. Teleport has to be used to try to save him, as the value coming out right now from this Reenkton is insane. Same as the polymorph, but at the end of the day, I'm not sure that Chovy can really do much in terms of damage here on a Beryl. He's desperately trying to get the kill, and he does, but just the one. As that will, in the end, be a win to the side of Team FAKER.
Yeah, Willer up here going to be forced to ult. See if he wants to push this further. He can get the second knockup.
Cuzz wasn't able to dash away. Now he has to flash, and in he comes, smacks him over the head with the piece of wood. Nicely done, as Cuzz was the one who handshook that fight, and Willer said, no, you can't kill me.
Cuzz ends up with an 0-4 start to this game as we hit the mid-game. Really unfortunate. This is a replay of Deft farming here, solo against FAKER. No defense. Notice Cuzz and Peter are trying to block the rest of the rotations of the members over, but he ends up losing the 1v1 because they're a bit too far away. Morgan in this extended fight does some serious work, as you pointed out. Look at that massive heal. Still just not enough. Chovy flashes here looking for the kill on the Viper, but he gets away, and that's the big problem. If you kill Viper here, this fight could be a completely different story, especially with the bailout. Just not to be the case. Viper avoids the last part of that Viktor ult and will survive. And then, yeah, Cuzz opts into this double knockup in basically full duration of these swings.
Yeah. He ate about 100% of the damage that he could have taken.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like 100% of avoidable damage he took. It's not a good look, as that gravity field, nearly enough to save Chovy. He's got some help from the Vi this time around. Cuzz trying to save some face here. And he's going to save his teammate at least. That is not going to be another kill here for this super fed Akali.
FAKER is just pushing the boundaries of Akali once again here in this game. You love to see it. For Team Deft, the big problem is, right now Chovy, he opted into the Rod of Ages build, right? And he's getting close to that level hitting, but he's sitting on the Archangel's Rod combo. Pretty strong, obviously buffed on this patch, the damage for that Rod of Ages, or rather the Seraphs. And he's looking to fight, but he doesn't.
There it is, by the way.
Yep, there it is. And like, he's gonna have it right before this soul fight. But it is going to be a fight right now that I think Team FAKER is happy to take. And they've got a BF sword on Viper here. FAKER is extremely, has a Shadow Flame and that stopwatch. Drinker Aatrox can peel so much for this Zeri. And I think you're hard pressed as Morgan to get on top of this Zeri in any way. We talked about how killing Viper is the goal. And so far it hasn't really been successful in these fights.
Yeah. There hasn't really been a clean, straightforward 5v5 that Team Deft kind of looked together for, you know, as you're mentioning. You know, you got to use your utility in the right spots. Otherwise, the damage and the flank ability of this Team FAKER team is just too much. Speaking of flank ability, they're able to kind of get on top of FAKER, but Morgan can't land his stun.
Having neutral advantage here for Team FAKER as this Drake spawns is massive, especially if they can clear all this vision right in the center here where FAKER is, between his Shroud and the peel that Willer can put off with his ultimate. It's going to be a lot of work has to be done here from Chovy in terms of damage, but he didn't go for Leandri's build.
Look at Morgan's positioning. The Lord himself has situated himself on the throne. Now that control where it's going to be really
Telling.
suspicious.
Yeah.
And you see that Team Faker will back away from the throne. Morgan's still sitting on the throne, though, and maybe they didn't back away far enough. Dudu is going to have to get the wild growth on top of him. The Zeri damage trade back is not so great. This Faker, he's got that backline access. They're trying to kill Peter, but the hostile takeover comes through. It's not a huge amount of utility, but they might be able to get on top of Faker. No, they can't quite take him down. And Morgan's the first one to be taken out here, as now Team Faker can just fight front to back. They've got this Zeri. Everybody kind of knows the way this one is going to go, as the rest of the members here at Team Deft will fall like dominoes.
Deft hands off the keyboard 3 times. His cash-in has been denied. No value with this Draven pick in terms of getting that big boost you'd like to get in early mid. And Team Faker now find themselves with both Baron and Infernal Soul at 25 minutes. And Morgan, you know, he's hiding here. He's looking for the setup. But they buy enough time here. And look at how untouched Viper is in this fight. Faker comes over, deletes Peter. Has to stopwatch if the ult comes through, but this means Viper has absolutely nothing to worry about. They front to back it. Peter?
Oh no. This is just bullying now. As down he goes, Faker will collect the free kill. And even a teleport from Chovy as well. Just a little bit of bonus action, essentially.
Bounty is online now for Team Deft. Chovy could be a menace later on in this game. Don't get me wrong, but you know, with how behind Cuzz is, it's going to be really hard. And for Team Faker, all you got to do is make sure Viper's alive, right? Your first draft pick as Faker, now on the Zeri. You chose red side, you got the Zeri. You've got a Lulu to back it up. Faker's got the cross angle to punish when they commit. If Morgan's not on top of the back line, Faker can get in there.
Well, Cuzz is not going to have luck with that clone. And there's not much luck here for Team Deft in
Look
terms
at Faker
of trying to get into this pit.
He's got the angle, he sweeps it.
Yeah.
And they can just pull the Drake out. He can threaten this backline if Morgan's on the other side.
Maybe a stun here, maybe a one-shot potential. Can they 100-0 Faker? No, they can't! He will live on the backside of it, and Deft immediately goes down. That's the end of this one. As the Infernal Soul also taken to add insult to injury. We will be going to a Game 3.
That's going to be the end of it, as you say. And Faker's on the edge there. If you collapse onto Faker, it means Zeri is going to be able to have free reign. But if Faker gets perfectly wild growth and every single resource is put into Faker, the rest of the team fight's a wash here for Team Deft. And as you said, we are going to Game 3. No questions asked here at the end of this fight as these double cannon Baron buff minions come through.
Not a lot of Fiora action in this one. Viper does flash and say, by the way, I'm Zeri. And they do have to wait for some minions. Okay, it looks like they will actually back for now. As we do have teleport available for Dudu.
Yeah, you should be able to just come straight back in, save the cannon minion. Unfortunately not in range.
Like, they could push the envelope if they wanted to, but it looks like they don't quite want to. They're going to play it extremely safe.
It's a bit early in the season since it hasn't started yet for this game is over moment, but even though they survive and the Nexus doesn't fall, the amount of control that Team Faker have in this game is immaculate as Faker hits the Shuriken through here. I think Peter thought perhaps he was behind the minions. Handshakes are trying to stave him off, but that's all he's got. He's got no ult. He has flash, but he's not going to waste it.
You see the belt to avoid the handshake too? That's just prime Faker right there.
The Faker eats a ton of damage here, dashes into the wild growth range, Beryl saves him, and then Lulu's here for the peel, and everybody on the side of Team Deft is way out of position. Chovy's not there to help do any damage. Dudu's immortal here. That fight is about as self-explanatory as it gets.
Chovy, he does a lot to clear the minion wave, actually, because he dies, but he actually clears everything. So that means that they're not able to end the game. So it looks real silly, and he did die very quickly, but he actually gave them, you know, a very, very slight chance. Try to stave this one off.
Like, so you're saying there's a chance, and the answer is yes.
Exactly. Powered by AWS, we have our damage dealt 30,000 on the left side, and a couple of members pretty close to 30,000. Chovy on top, Viper vying for first place.
Now, can you defend this one, Team Deft? That's the question that Team FAKER proposes here as they try to crash this top wave into that inhibitor turret while threatening bottom side here. FAKER's angle to execute Deft is pretty good here, so Morgan has to juggle trying to clear these waves and staying close enough to Deft and Peter, which means the top side is open. You just don't have a whole lot of room to work with here.
Any Viktor wave clear believers? Okay, that's a nice handshake. I'm not sure it's going to matter, though, as the hostile takeover is going to sail wide. Doesn't need a lot of value there. As FAKER just goes in, goes out, and now the Zeri ult is popped. They do get into that back line, as Viper did take about half his health and damage. So that is just about as far as he'll go, as everybody else is going to be wiped off the plate, as Viper will go down, funnily enough, but that will be the Nexus going down as well. A pretty one-sided one this time in favor of Team FAKER.
Yeah, definitely not quite the same level of back and forth action as we saw in Game 1. A much more dominant performance this time around from FAKER in particular on that Akali. Even when he made arguably a mistake, got caught by the Viktor gravity field, he still gets out, still survives, doesn't get the ward. But beyond that, he played an immaculate game of Akali, both threatening, as his teammates look on, both threatening the backline, but also trying to pull the attention away from the Zeri.
By the way, you're on camera.